say, kids, what time is it?
For those of you who know me, you know I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Star Trek's my favorite thing in all of pop culture. Comics, movies, television, you name it, Star Trek is, to me, the single greatest thing ever created. I love it. And I've been very sad about the direction it's taken in the last decade, 12 years or so, with Secret Hideout and Bad Robots, alternate timeline. The television shows are just abominable. They don't feel anything like Gene Roddenberry's original idea of what Star Trek is and what Star Trek should be. And on Star Trek Day this year, the only announcement to me that was worth anything was the announcement that the director's edition of the motion picture is going to be restored in 4K. For those of you who are unaware, Star Trek the Motion Picture, the 1979 classic, in my opinion, had a director's edition put out on DVD in 2001, 20 years ago, in which Robert Wise sat down with a group of editors and visual effects artists to kind of re-examine the film. For those of you who don't know, Star Trek the Motion Picture has a really amazing story behind its production. It was marred with all kinds of issues, went way over budget, it was rushed. Because on December 7th, 1979, it had to be screened in theaters. There was a lot riding on it. So I don't want to really get into the story of how the movie was made, but it's really fascinating and worth delving into if you don't know much about it at all. It's a very maligned film. A lot of people call it Star Trek the Motionless Picture, Star Trek the Slow Motion Picture, things like that. To me, and it was all of those things to me when I was younger. Of course, Wrath of Khan came out and was much more of a mainstream, action-oriented film with a basic revenge plot premise at the center of it all. And it worked. I mean, it worked fantastic. It saved Star Trek as we know it. And it's still, I think, the best of the movies. But as I grew older, and maybe wiser, who knows, but Star Trek the Motion Picture started to grow for me. Like where it would always be ranked at the bottom of my list of Star Trek films, it started to climb the ladder. It's now my second favorite of all the Star Trek films, and I think tonally it is the closest thing to the original show of any of the films. It questions, creationism. It questions humanity. It questions the next level of evolution. It's all of these things that Star Trek aspired to be in the 1960s, and that to me makes it a great film. The line in there from V'ger, "Is this all that I am?" It kind of resonates. It's just a really great. It's a great investigation of humanity. And I think the tagline for the motion picture, "The Human Adventure is Just Beginning," couldn't be more appropriate for the story at the heart of Star Trek: The Motion Picture. So anyway, as it's gone on in years, or as I've gone on in years, it's really found a place in my heart as one of the better Star Trek films. So the DVD came out in 2001. There is a Memory Alpha page devoted to it. So if you wanted to jump in and read about it, you can. The only place to get the film now, you can get it on Apple iTunes for $4.99. You can rent it, or on Amazon. You can rent or buy. Oh, let me move this over. You can rent or buy it if you want to watch it. And until Paramount Plus screens this new 4K edition. And then on Blu-ray.com, they have actually posted the Blu-ray of the 4K remaster, which I hope is true, and I hope it does come to optical media sooner than later. So what's going on with the remastered 4K? Well, you can see here that Star Trek on Paramount Plus announced the director's edition of Star Trek The Motion Picture is coming exclusively to Paramount Plus. The restoration is being undertaken by David C. Fine, Mike Matessino, and Darren R. Doctorman, all of who worked previously with director Robert Wise. So the same team that put together this DVD 20 years ago is now doing the 4K remaster. I'm really excited. They released a sample scene, which I just want to screen right now at the risk of copyright. And you can see the difference between the standard def version from the DVD and what's coming to the 4K. Let's watch. So really excited. You can see where the HDR, high dynamic range, really digs into the shadows, really pops the details. No discussion has been had yet. If those of you who don't know Darren Doctorman, Darren is one of the co-hosts of the Inglorious Treksperts podcast with Mark A. Altman, and Darren has spoken about Star Trek: The Motion Picture at length in the past, and until they're allowing him to go forward on this 4K restoration, he really can't say much about it. I'm wondering if they're adding even more. What really made this work for me 20 years ago was the fact that Darren and his team blended the new visual effects seamlessly with the old visual effects. They all the stuff they did in CGI matched what would have been done with models and practical effects by, say, Doug Trumbull back in 1979. So it's very seamless, unlike, say, the Star Wars special editions where it was pretty obvious where they inserted new material. And I'm wondering if they're, since they're having a chance to go back and do it again, if Darren's going to add even more. Like you saw the amount of detail in that V'ger shot there with the Enterprise going in. So I'm really excited. This really, really geeks me out as a Star Trek fan, as a Star Trek The Motion Picture fan. Paramount Plus, you're going to get my money to watch this. I will not watch your new Star Trek, but I will pay you to watch this. And if you do this with Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, you'll have me aboard for that too. So consider it. I think that the news about classic Trek makes more waves than any news about modern Trek. And in closing, if you'd like to actually hear my thoughts on Star Trek: The Motion Picture in detail, I did a guest spot on our friend John Amenta's and Lloyd Green's podcast, Pint of Comics, back last June of 2020. They named the episode Delton Poontang. And it's a real deep dive into Star Trek: The Motion Picture with four of us on the show. And I think maybe you'll have a different opinion of it. Maybe you won't. But I would say any preconceived notions you have about the film, put them out of your mind and approach Star Trek: The Motion Picture with a open mind, a fresh palate, and try to see it for what it really is and what it was intended to be, which Darren and his team will deliver in 4K very soon. So love to know what you guys think about Star Trek: The Motion Picture or this 4K remastering. You can leave comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for supporting us to this point from everyone. And, of course, you can find us on the socials at GeekTimeNet. And we will hear you soon. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Also, please subscribe to GeekTime TV. It really helps us grow the channel. And make sure you hit that bell icon in order to receive notifications every time we drop new content here. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at GeekTimeNet. Thanks again for watching. We will see you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?